got something.
Okay. Sorry, I was handed the microphone.
I'll do it.
Oh, I would say,
I'll do it sitting because I got an injured knee.
Greg, maybe you can help.
Well, in light of all that's been said, you know, there is definitely a financial crisis that we're all in the thick of, and we're all feeling the effects of it. I think a lot of us have been feeling a lot more stress out of all of this, and it certainly hasn't been easy. But how come when somebody comes here to this university and they want $1 million plus salary, they get it?
That could only be one salary.
No, not really. There's more than some people who make close to that or about that much of money. And when you're saying up there on the screen, so many years we're going to be that much more $1 million short. At our expense, ours meaning everybody here, everybody here in this room, how come when somebody comes here and they demand $1 million plus salary or somewhere close to that, they get it?
There's only one salary at that level. Faculty salaries, I believe the highest salary we have is in the professional medical school or cancer center, maybe around $300,000 a year. There are no salaries that I know of between those.
Not even in athletics?
The one.
Well, how did you get the money to pay that kind of salary?
Athletics is 80% funded by revolving funds, which is ticket sales, logo sales. They have a small general fund component, about $2 million. That pays for the groundkeepers and the janitors down there. The remainder of their budget is from ticket sales.
Nothing against athletics, but after all, there is such a thing as academics in this place. I like to think so.
My name is David Stannard in American Studies Department. Some of you may have noticed in this morning's Chronicle of Higher Education, there's an article about the University of California and faculty, including some very, very prominent faculty, accusing the university of cooking the books and of having another agenda behind the cooking of those books. Of course, the administration denies that. We've heard a lot of that discussion, I don't know if you have, but on this campus as well. And it would be nice if the chancellor were here to hear some of this conversation as well, rather than spending vacation in California. But I was skeptical of that cooking the books and other agenda argument until I saw the contract that was proffered by the administration. Its last, best, and final offer. By these numbers may be slightly off, and you can correct me, but by my rough calculation, just speaking of UHM, the cuts that we would take over those between the salary cuts and the salary lag at UH Manoa, calculated against what I've looked at version 1.3 of the Instructional and Research Academic Department markers that's being used by the UHM Budget and Prioritization Committee, indicates that the cut that we would give to the university as a result of our cuts, just the Manoa campus, would total in the neighborhood of $28 million. That's our gift to you by voting for that contract. Some people are willing to vote for that contract, despite the fact that the cuts that we would suffer will be double that of our own college deans, which of course is outrageous. But some of us would be willing to, I'm not saying I would, but some would be, if they could be assured that younger faculty would not be retrenched. And yet, the insult of this contract is that after you take $25 million from us, you say, by the way, we reserve the right to fire you, because we're keeping that retrenchment clause in there. The simplest way to get this contract passed, I think, at least, I'm not saying it would be passed, but the possibility of getting it passed would be to remove retrenchment officially from the contract for the duration of the contract. Just say, we simply that's gone. That's out of the question. We won't proceed with that, period. As long as that's in the contract, I guarantee you this contract will be rejected and the crisis will continue. So I'm just wondering if you were offered a contract in which you were asked to have your pay cut by double the rate of your bosses. And you were told, and by the way, after you accept that, we're probably going to fire you anyway. Would you sign that contract?
No. I would like to reiterate, we are taking notes on all these questions so we can publish this dialogue. Contract negotiations are done at the system level. On a personal note, I am not involved in them, and I do not know any of the dialogues that have happened in terms of collective bargaining. And we can pass on your message that you're voicing today to them via the website as well as in person.
Chris Measures, Oceanography. Kathy, thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. I want to get back to data, and it's sort of a follow-up on your question. One of the things I notice in this so-called last best final offer is it's uniform across the system, yet the cuts are not uniform. So the implications of the savings from those cuts, if they were to be approved, which is highly unlikely, but were that to happen, would be non-uniform within the system. Has anyone done a mathematical analysis of how that leads to various units? Because presumably at the community colleges, they'd actually make a profit out of this. And from what you just, your analysis of 28 million, Manoa is still in the hole as a result of this. So it would seem that it's setting one part of the system against the other to impose these kinds of things. And maybe if you haven't done it yet, whether you could do a mathematical analysis so we have some data to look at. Thank you.
And can you clarify what the mathematical analysis, I mean, what exactly you'd like to see? Because some of the data about the differential cuts were in Kathy's presentation, but...
Well, basically, of course, it's how much salary you save from on each of these units by imposing these uniform cuts across the system. I mean, salaries are different, numbers of people are different, but the cuts that were imposed at the system level are quite different from each other.
I have a spreadsheet that does analyze that. I have not looked at the backup to verify the detail, but I can give you what it is. The system-wide projections for salary reductions at a 5% level for Manoa were $13.2 million. For the community colleges, that was $5.5 million. That's a 20% impact to Manoa versus the 25% impact to community colleges. And I put that with a caveat that these are system numbers. I have not gone and verified the backup.
But your general analysis that the union contract is even and the cuts are not is correct? Right.
I mean, it would be good if that was posted so people could look at that and see the base of the calculations.
I can.
The presentation, I think, is already posted or will be posted this morning, which is...
But not the detail that Chris is asking.
Richard Natale of English. I'd just like to follow up on David's and Nandita's comments to read directly, because both of them are talking about elements of negotiation and contract, and you sort of refuse to comment based on ongoing negotiations. There might just be some semantic difference here, but last best final offer, as far as I understand it, is a last best final offer.
I was quite prepared to comment on what's in the contract. I don't think that it's helpful to comment on the negotiating process that led to the contract, and that was clearly part of the, I mean, we were told that we don't negotiate in public. So, I mean, materials from the actual negotiations, I don't think that's helpful. I'm perfectly happy to answer any questions about my understanding of what's in the last best final offer. Remember, as Kathy pointed out, that is a system negotiation, and it is, fortunately or unfortunately, and in some cases, I mean, is consistent across campuses. So, I mean, if there are specific questions about what's in the contract that you believe we can help with this, I would be happy to hear that. But I don't think it's helpful to go back to what was offered and what was understood, and I mean, that's a very complex issue.